And so forth. Hey Frankensteins, this week we're watching 1968's Bullitt, directed by Peter Yates and starring Steve McQueen. I only know of this movie that it has a car chase in it that's supposed to be one of the best ever, and that it had a silver box when it was on VHS. That's it. Yeah, I just have never actually taken a look at it, so that's what I'm doing. Let's take a look at it. Well, okay. Famed San Francisco Police Lieutenant Frank Bullitt, played by Steve McQueen, is requested by politician Walter Chalmers, Robert Vaughn, to protect a mob informant for 48 hours until his scheduled testimony in front of the U.S. Senate subcommittee hearing on organized crime. But things don't go as planned, and Bullitt will find the answers no matter the cost. Why did the informant unlatch the door chain? 1968's Bullitt sets the stage for the gritty crime and above-the-law supercop genre that would play out in film and TV for the next few decades. It's a perfectly crafted crime thriller that has a realistic look and just a realistic feel to it. Steve McQueen as Frank Bullitt is based on Dave Toschi, who would soon become famous as the lead investigator in the Zodiac Killer murders. He's a hard-nosed cop with his own sense of style and justice. He asks questions first and shoots later. But if you need shooting, brother, you better watch out. He watches and listens and calculates, and he knows the difference between the truth and a pile of bullshit. I'm not that familiar with McQueen. I've seen him in a few things. Magnificent Seven comes to mind. After this, I consider myself a fan and very impressed. The term that you see describing him most often is icy cool. I can't think of any better term than that. He is just effortless in the role of Bullitt. Not only that, but he makes everything around him seem cool. Several items of clothing received a big boost after the film just based on Steve McQueen wearing them. From trench coats to desert boots, the blue turtleneck sweater, and definitely the tweed jacket with the patches on the sleeves. It's because of Steve McQueen that college professors have been looking so badass for the last 50 years. The rest of the cast is nothing to sneeze at either, unless sneezing at someone is considered good luck in your culture. Robert Vaughn is the most noticeable as sleazy politician Chalmers. So good is he, in fact, that when Vaughn was considering a move to politics, the public didn't trust him based solely on his role in this movie. Jacqueline Bisset is beautiful and wonderful in her role, and she plays a professional architect in this film. She's not given a lot to do, but when she's there, she's pretty impressive. Again, here's another film where you see so many classic actors. First off, the very recently deceased Don Gordon, Norman Fell, Mr. Roper, George Stanford Brown, Vic Taybeck, Simon Oakland, and even cinema great Robert Duvall has a very small role as a cabbie in this film. In contrast to my last review of 2001: A Space Odyssey, which was a film that relied on the construction of the story world from the ground up, Bullitt has zero sets. The city of San Francisco was not known for filmmaking at that time, but they really wanted to be a place where movies were made. So the mayor gave the production carte blanche to the film practically everywhere in the city except for the Golden Gate Bridge. When they needed a hospital, they closed a wing of San Francisco General Medical Center and hired the real doctors and nurses to work it. The same went for the San Francisco Police Department and the San Francisco International Airport and Grace Cathedral Episcopal Church. This and the use of the new lightweight Aeroflex cameras led to the film's almost documentary feel, with the fact that you could move in and out of places that before big bulky cameras just couldn't go. And director Peter Yates really uses this to his advantage through the whole film. The jazzy score by Lalo Schifrin is one of my new favorites and heavily features the flute, which usually creeps me out a little bit. The film's score and the official soundtrack released by Warner Brothers are different. The film's producers insisted on a more poppy-sounding disc, for the kids. Contrary to what you might have heard, there are actually two big action set pieces in Bullitt. A foot chase on the runways and subsequently the terminal at the San Francisco International Airport is as exhilarating a chase as I have ever seen. In a scene where McQueen drops to the tarmac to avoid getting hit by a plane, no stuntman was used as the plane taxied over the actor. When asked if the producers couldn't have found a dummy, the actor replied, "They did." Of course, the real standout is the almost 11-minute car chase, done through the actual streets of San Francisco. I've heard about this all my life. Boy, it does not disappoint. McQueen does much of his own driving. If you can see him in the rearview mirror, then you know it's him actually driving. If you don't see him in the rearview mirror, then it's his stuntman. It embarrassed him for years that in the film The Great Escape, he had to admit that he wasn't the guy who jumped the motorcycle over the fence, that was a stuntman, so he didn't want that to happen again. In The Black Charger, the man playing the hitman, Bill Hickman, is also actually driving, and he was a stuntman as well. Saying that the chase still holds up is an understatement. The editor on this film won the editing Oscar for it in 1968. This would be as exciting in a current movie as it is in this. For those that care about this kind of thing, watch for the magical green bug and count hubcaps. One of my reoccurring thoughts while watching this film is, why were there never any sequels? It didn't seem that we used up this character, and it didn't seem like we used up San Francisco. It's a gritty crime drama, but it's a single story. This could have gone on forever like the Dirty Harry series. My guess is McQueen just didn't want to do it. He turned down two of the big roles that kind of fit into the genre. One would be that of Popeye Doyle in The French Connection from 1971, which was taken, of course, by Gene Hackman. And then again, 1971's Dirty Harry. Both of these would have been a perfect continuation without having to change too much, except for maybe some of the locale. And so with all this, Bullitt is a really good movie. There's nothing wrong with it. Had a good time watching it. But it's not great. I think back to watching John Carter of Mars, and boy, it looked like they stole from Star Wars, and they stole from all these different films, and you could just see where they were getting ideas, and it just looked like, hey, you ripped off everybody in the last 100 years, and the idea was, no, everybody else ripped off the John Carter of Mars stories. And that's kind of how this feels. This is a really solid script. There is some fine acting. There are great stunt works, and the camera work and the location and everything I talked about has been really good. The problem is I feel like I've seen this quite a number of times now. Bullitt may have started this genre. It didn't define the genre. I guess what I'm trying to say is I'm giving this good film, 3 out of 5 amazings, and an extra half point for the airplane and the car scene. Good movie. Next time, come with me, and we'll be in a world of pure imagination and diabetes. Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. Wee. Until then, I'm Uncle Tony.